I want to jump to NASCAR real fast, and obviously this show won't be released until probably another day or two. But I know you watched the race. We just watched NASCAR in Atlanta. Kevin Harvick had a great race after
Great.
Truex won the first two poles. Give me your quick thoughts on Atlanta, and also if you want to start with Bristol from last week, where Keselowski pulled out, and the confrontation between Elliott and Logano, and Logano
Yep.
not being happy that Elliott didn't apologize right away.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll start it off with Bristol. Here's the thing. I mean, it's Bristol. It's short tracking. It's short track racing. You're gonna get that kind of stuff. You're gonna get banging doors, drivers going for the win, uh, and every once in a while, it's gonna end up with a couple of cooked cars in the infield and a couple of drivers not very happy with each other. I think that's just part of the sport. And here's the thing. I've heard drivers, former drivers, talk and people involved with the sport say, "Hey, there's no protocol for this. How you go about this?" You know, uh, Obviously, late in the race, Chase misjudges a move and takes Logano out. And Logano quite possibly could have won. Uh, but there's no protocol for how you apologize to that dude. And I remember Logano talking about it. And believe me, I know Logano gets a lot of hate. I like Logano a lot. I think he's a good guy and a good driver. But, his response was, well, I waited in my car for about a minute and he didn't come and see me. Well, give the man a little more time at least, like don't take it so personally. And I get there's a lot of emotions running high after that race. And that goes for Chase as well as it goes for Joey. So it's more the statement that Joey had a while after that race where he was still upset with the way Chase handled it. I feel like that was kind of the problem. And I think Joey has a right to be mad. He has a right to be mad that he got taken out of a race that he thought he was going to win. Um, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you got to realize that's racing, and that's both drivers going for the win. So congrats to Brad being in the right place at the right time. And as for Atlanta today, pretty fun race, a really fascinating race. I love tire strategy. I love green flag pit stops. And we got to see a couple of late green flag pit stop cycles in that race. It was a ton of fun. We saw Clint Boyer a couple times coming too early and paying the price for that. Uh, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit of math real quick. Uh, I know we don't usually do that on the show, but I like math. I love stats. So I'm going to talk a little bit of math. Okay, so you have whatever it is, say 100 laps in a stage, and you're going to have to make one pit stop over that stage. So at a track like Atlanta, you're going to have to stop every stage for sure. And if you split that stage
Definitely.
down the middle, um, I think that's the optimal strategy, because here's the thing. You'll be going faster, obviously, on fresher tires for the part of the stage where you're going for, say, if you split it 30 and 70, those 30 laps you'll be going faster, but those last 70, when you're on older tires at the end, here's the thing. Slowness is more effective than fastness, because part of being slow is that you're doing it for a long period of time. So if you can keep a constant speed for the entire stage, essentially, that's going to be more effective than finishing the race or trying to get to a point on old tires. I think the optimal strategy, try to split that thing right
But
down the middle.
but the thing with splitting too is that you got to remember fresh tires always. I mean, we saw with Kurt Busch today. Kurt Busch and Jimmy, you saw it in a couple guys in the top 10. They pitted before early around the 70 laps to go, 60 or no, it's 60 laps to go, I
Probably
think.
closer to 60,
Yeah,
62,
it wasn't 70. It
63
was it was
laps
closer to
around there.
60. Yeah, and
I'm
they
gonna say.
still finished in top 10. Kurt gained. Kurt was outside the top 10 when he pitted, so that was good right
Yep.
there. Good strategy
Because
there. But I want to take a look at two. I mean, Truex won the first two poles. I don't necessarily think he was the best car in the race. Obviously, as he didn't win. But and when you saw the third stage, Kyle had the early lead, and Harvick and his team did a phenomenal job of just blazing out the rest of the race. I
yep.
mean, he didn't even he did win, but he didn't win just by winning. He won by 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds.
Hey man,
And
they don't
if
call him
you
the closer for nothing. He saved his
and
best for the
and
end.
if you look outside the top three, all those guys are 17 seconds behind.
Yep.
We're sure that's because of the pitting and different strategies and everything, but still,
I mean,
those guys. I mean, shout out to Joe. I mean, first off, shout out to Ford. They've had an incredible year. I think that's their 6th win this year, something like that. Chevy has 2. I think Toyota only has 1. But Joe Gibbs has done a great job finishing top 3. Kyle Busch and Truex probably the top one of the top 3 racers in NASCAR. But it's been phenomenal watching NASCAR. And I think today was a great race, and so was last week with Keselowski just being right there.
yep.
And Logano, Elliott, that happens just like Elliott and Kyle happened. So just got to move on from stuff like that.
Yep. And you talk about the dominance of Kevin Harvick in the front of that field with the stages, all the cautions we see. How often in a modern NASCAR race do we see less than 10 cars in the lead lap at the finish? Like that was crazy. There were 10 cars on the lead lap at the end? I mean, that's something we just don't see in NASCAR anymore. Sure, when there are more long runs in races, especially before the stage format and without competition cautions and stage cautions, that happened a lot more. But to see it with all these short runs, how few cars were on the lead lap at the end of that race, and I get that it kind of ended on a long run. That is crazy for modern NASCAR. So just goes to show what a dominant final run that was from Kevin Harvick and the guys at the top of the field. Definitely was a fascinating race today, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, it was an incredible race too. And trying to see this real fast. I think let me see. Yeah, so you had for Ford today. You had a good finish. They had a great finish, rounding out in the top 10. So, I mean, it was a good. I mean, Atlanta's known for being a Ford favorite track. So it proved today. But I still think Kyle and Truex should get their moment of shining here too, because
Yep.
they did good. But